Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 130. Today is April 29th. My name is Craig Perales, and joining me, Major Montemayor.
You know, I really feel like we should have waited another day to record this, because then it would have been April 30th for episode 130.
Ooh, actually, I didn't even think about that. Well, we could have.
No, I got things to do.
Yeah, earlier the better, I thought, because if you have to come back down here from your neck of the woods, traffic's going to be a bitch.
Oh, I do got to work tomorrow.
Oh, do you?
For like 2 hours.
Oh,
3 hours maybe. All OT though.
This worked out quite nicely. But dude, episode 130, we are chugging along.
Hey, we're out here.
Hey, we out here. So guys, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share the video so we can grow the channel. If you guys are looking to follow us on any of our social medias, make sure you check out our Linktree link, which is in the description down below. And if you guys are listening to the audio only version of the podcast, find it in all different platforms where you can find it, but Anchor is the home for Last Call Gaming. So if you can, check us out there, leave us a kind review, as well as on any other platform. But anything else?
I do highly want to stress, at the very least, if you take the time to watch our video, drop that like. It takes you 2 seconds, and it really helps the algorithm to help us reach out to more. And also, I know we don't plug it enough, but if you look to my left, this very handsome gentleman is modeling some of our merch that you, too, can get. So that's also down in the links. Check it out.
Yeah, check it out. So, guys, we like to drink as we do the show. That's kind of the staple around here. So, if you guys want to submit an alcohol to drink, you can do that in the comments down below, or send it to our email at lastcallproductions@gmail.com. This one comes from Monica C, and she wrote to class it up with vodka. So I'm not going to dive into a deep background of it because we've done Tito's before, but I figured, you know, hey, why not? So we grabbed a little Tito's, I grabbed some Sprite, and that's what we're drinking today on the show.
I do want to jump in and say that we did see your comment, Melissa, but I looked it up today because I've been to like 5 different places. The Bud Light Sour is a seasonal beer, and surprisingly, I think it's actually a winter seasonal beer.
The seltzer? The Bud Light seltzer?
The Bud Light Seltzer Sours, because they have regular seltzers, and they have the hard sodas everywhere, which I don't know if they cleared out the sour. Maybe the sours didn't do well enough, and they're trying to make room for the sodas, but I could not find that, and I've looked like everywhere.
So if you can find them, get them for us, and we'll drink them on the show. So moving into, guys, before we get into our main topics, we like to do what are you up to? And Andrew and I take a second to talk about what we've been playing, what we've been watching, if we got anything planned. So since I know you don't have too much more than on your plate than normal, why don't you start us off and just kind of tell us what you've been up to this week?
Yeah, I'll go first. Honestly, I'm still kind of in that rut where I don't really want to start anything or play anything. So I've actually just been going back through and helping my brother beat Elden Ring and just having a lot of fun. Again, I just can't get away from that game. I have been playing Call of Duty and started that new season. So for any of you guys that are on there, we're getting ready for that King Kong versus Godzilla event.
Dude, that trailer was dope.
It looks cool. I just get mad because I'm like, this is the shit you're working on instead of fixing this busted ass game. But they did say hopefully by the mid-season they should fix all my major complaints and you won't hear me cry anymore. But the big thing that I did do today that I've actually always enjoyed, and I don't think I've ever watched one before a show, but I think it just came out today and I just watched it before, is, I don't know if I've mentioned it enough, but I do love skateboarding. I used to skate. I do still have a skateboard, obviously. I don't do it as much as I should, but I love watching skateboarding footage. And Thrasher, obviously the big magazine, has their own YouTube channel, and every so often they put out a series called My War, and it's with different skateboarders. This one was actually with Gabriel Summers. Now what it is usually it's like a crazy hard trick, like some guy, one of them was like this person trying to kickflip, or I think it was like kickflip or backside flip down a 20 stair, like this big set of stairs. This other one was this person grinding a rail with a kink, and then it comes out to a flat, and then it's like a story and a half drop after that. So they're filming the whole thing at the time, and it's almost like a mini documentary because they're talking with them now. You like, what was it like? How hard was it to do? Like, you know, what were you feeling? And sometimes you see them get hurt and they have to visit the spot, you know, like 10 times before they actually get the trick, and I think that is crazy interesting. So check the one out that they just dropped today because it's actually really good. He does a board slide down a huge rail. I think it's like a 20 stair, but it's got like 3 kinks in it. So for those of you that don't know, the rail goes like that, down, flat, down, and then flat again. And he's hauling ass down this thing. And it took him like 10 tries to do it, and even like busted his ankle on one of them. Ooh. And actually what really got me is one of the first falls he does is he hits and almost hits so hard that he does like a front flip. So watch it. It's super interesting, especially if you're into skateboarding.
How long are they averagely?
Some of them, usually I think like 15 minutes tops. I think the longest one has been like 20 minutes, but generally 10 to 15 minutes.
Excellent. I love a good quick little video. Dude, sometimes you watch those guys bail, and you're like, how the fuck are you not like knocked the fuck out? But I guess they know how to fall a lot better than I ever know how to fall. So
yeah, if it especially if you're into that, watch that stuff because they break it down to the like, this is what I'm feeling. And one of them, the guy had to get it. He's like, this is the deadline. Like if you don't get it, it's not going to be in the video, and you're not going to make the magazine either. And he got it like literally on like the last day. So there's just more pressure than normally just making the trick. Like even this guy, as soon as he was starting it, he heard someone else was also trying to do the same trick, and once it's been done, you don't want to say you can't do it anymore. You got to come up with something different. So it's just a race against the clock with more than just can I do this trick physically.
Nice, I like that. Anything else?
No, kick it over to you.
I have, so what I've been watching, and because I remember you said you saw it, and in theaters though, but Jackass Forever, which is now on Paramount Plus. Yeah, I just saw it. I thought it was okay. I don't know if I loved it as much as you did. There was definitely moments where I was like laughing out loud, but I'm kind of glad I didn't go spend $12 in the theater for it. It felt more like I like watching it at home. I like being able to pause it. I like being able to go to the bathroom, get something to eat, come back. But because I've only seen one of them in theaters, and it's not the kind of movie I like sitting 90 minutes for. But I do got to say there was 3 of them, man, that really kind of like had my stomach hurting the whole time. So I don't call it a spoiler. I mean, it's been out in theaters. It's out right now on streaming. But there's the one scene where they have that spider that they try to push back and forth, and then they let it bite that one dude's nipple, and they do the close-up, and those fangs go in. That one, I was like, fuck that. The other one they did is when that chick does the scorpion Botox, and it stabs her right in the lips, dude. I was like, okay. And then the last one, dude, is where they actually let that live bear come in and like pull salmon off that guy, dude. And he was like, I don't know how fake any of it is, but he was like shaking, dude. And I'm like, dude,
no, that's all real.
Thing's legit eating salmon and licking honey off of them. I'm like, dude, if that thing just decides to do one scratch or one bite, I don't think any of them get paid enough to, because it's one thing to be like, hey, would you do it for $1 million? I don't think that guy, I think it was Aaron, whatever his name is, I don't think he's getting $1 million to do this. So it's like a couple of those things, man, because I know they try to top themselves every time. They are successful movies, but when I watched those 3, I was like, dude, fuck, I wouldn't do that at all on any of those. So I just wanted to read this real quick. It's a commercial success. It grossed over $80 million worldwide against a budget of $10 million, so they definitely made cash. Unused footage of this film will be released on a separate movie titled Jackass 4.5, which will be released on Netflix on May 20th, 2022. So if you were interested in the movie, more of it's coming out that you can check out on Netflix. So as far as what I have been playing, I just recently beat Life is Strange True Colors, developed by Deck 9 and Square Enix and published by Square Enix. It came out August 12th, 2021. The games are described as episodic graphic adventure games, kind of like Square Enix's version of Telltale games. And Life is Strange, it's kind of cool because all the series are set in the same universe. It's the 5th installment in this franchise, and every one of them, you kind of play like this troubled youth that kind of has a power. In the past games, you've been able to do time reversal. You've been able to do telekinesis. In this one, you play Alex, who is an empath, who can essentially feel emotions. But as you kind of play and develop the game, her power kind of grows to where she can touch objects, and she can kind of get the history behind it. She can hear like the conversations, so you can learn more about certain things. And then she gets kind of powerful enough to where she can take people's like emotions away. So at one point in the game, someone ends up dying, and someone ends up having like all this grief, and you get a choice of being able to like take the sadness away. And there's different endings. So when I was kind of looking it up, it's like if you want to take away their sadness, you got to be prepared that has to get filled with something else like rage or something like that. So
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's actually not bad if you like those type of games. Those games are not for everybody. I happen to really enjoy those type of games, and it had a cool little section where you go on this LARPing adventure, so the game kind of turns into an RPG with you and this other character doing turn-based combat. So it had some really cool elements. So I just beat that. It's on Game Pass. If you guys are interested in it, I would say check it out. The next game that I want to dive into, I think, is going to be Ghostwire Tokyo. So next week, hopefully I'll have a little more to say about that.
Nice. I'd love to come over and watch you play. Let me know.
Oh, it'll be on the PS5, baby. So that is what we've been up to. I do want to point out, guys, if you do hear, I doubt you will, but if you hear any motorcycles hauling ass down the street, it's because where we are at, it's biker weekend. So it's a big event where bikers come across like through, what is it, like just Highway 95. It's like a big across country kind of thing, and Kingman and Route 66 and all that stuff is the stop that they do here. Did you have any plans at all this week for doing anything with Biker Run? My dad was hitting me up to go to like a tattoo convention, but
I heard about that.
It gets so crowded out there, so I'm not sure how much I plan on doing this weekend, at least in town.
I couldn't go to a tattoo convention because I really have no room left. That I've kind of got everything
that I want plotted out.
So like, yeah, I'd have to start on my face or something.
Nice. So let us know, guys, what you've been playing, what you've been up to, and if you've been watching anything cool. So let's move into our main story, and that is that Xbox and Bethesda have announced their games showcase, which, if you guys remember a few episodes back, I think episode 127, we were talking about how E3 announced that they won't be holding an event anymore. And one of the conversations Andrew and I were having was like, well, this could still be a really good time for Xbox to step up and shine, because with their last merger and potentially what they have coming up in the future, they still have a lot to show. So assuming that they had good content to begin with, so it seems that they kind of do, because they've now announced that they're going to do one. It's going to be an online only live stream on Sunday, June 12th, 2022 at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is, if you're familiar with it, their normal time slot for E3. So I kind of like that they're keeping with the consistency. Some people were like, oh, are they taking a jab at E3 by taking that time slot? And I'm like, no, I just feel like that's them going, hey guys, regardless of what's here and what's not, here's our day of the month, and here's what we're gonna show off. So you like the time frame? You like that they're actually gonna be putting something on this year?
Yeah, I'm glad that they're still going to do something, because there's got to be some way to get the games out there. And again, this is kind of what I was talking about before, is if these guys, you can do it anytime during the year, but what do you really need E3 for? Especially when you're like Microsoft. I feel like E3 kind of in a way maybe might highlight some smaller games, but if they were to do this and then someone else picks another time slot that week, Monday, like Capcom or Square's like, okay, well, we're going to do ours the week after or something, then does there really need to be an E3 for anything anymore? Like, what would be the point? Again, except for the physical portion of it for people going and watching the showcase. But if you're just going to do all digital, if we're going to stay in this like post-pandemic mindset, then why not? The only thing I thought was, I don't think it's weird, but it kind of does sound a little weird, is obviously they're bigger than Bungie, but this is the kind of comparison I want to make, is if Sony were to do a press conference, it would be the Sony press conference. It wouldn't be the Sony Bungie press conference, whereas Microsoft obviously owns Bethesda now, but their name has enough clout to where Microsoft Bethesda sounds fine, but why isn't it just the Microsoft conference?
Right, because it's not even, it's instead of Microsoft, it's Xbox Bethesda, where instead of Sony, they're not going like, oh, the PS5 and Bungie conference. So
I can understand why with the names, but
yeah. So but I mean, between all of them, a lot of people are just kind of going, okay, well now what is going to actually be shown? And it's kind of vague of what to expect, because they don't, with all the studios and stuff, they didn't really point out any titles that they were going to show off, and they didn't really say any studios besides Xbox and Bethesda. So even on their news from Xbox.com, all they had to say was this show will feature amazing titles coming from Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, and our partners around the world. The Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase will include everything you need to know about the diverse lineup of games coming soon to the Xbox ecosystem, including upcoming releases to Game Pass on Xbox and PC. And then it goes on to kind of just tell you where you can find it. But if you look at last year's showcase that they did, it ran about 90 minutes, which I think is a good, solid time, assuming that you're using that time correctly. But what people are kind of either on the fence about, whether they're worried about it or they actually like it, is how much of this is going to be Starfield based. Because when you look at that graphic, essentially the graphic is just the Xbox logo with that little shiny, that shine kind of shimmering off the top right, and then kind of in this background of stars and galaxies. So you'd have to imagine, because the game is set to come out November 11th, that they need to at least put a decent amount of time into this. We haven't gotten much, so I'd imagine that we need to see something. If this is going to be your big fall game,
right,
then we need to see more than what we've been shown. But are you nervous at all that it might be, out of the 90 minutes, 65?
I don't think that they would do that much. I could see it being like 20 to 30 minutes tops. But
Okay,
I'm
third.
hoping they'll stay to like 20 to 15, because then you could always put out more afterwards, because that's a game that everyone's going to check out. Like, that game doesn't actually need the press conference. It doesn't even need to be in the conference at all. They could do their conference and hype up their other stuff and put out a 30-minute presser afterwards, and everyone is still going to watch it. Just as many eyes are going to be looking at that game. So I hope that they do put like, I would say like 15 minutes, I think would be fair, substantial. That's what I feels like the perfect limit for me to want to watch. And then if there's anything more, I could always go and find it afterwards and watch maybe like we showed you a 15-minute snippet, go and check us out afterwards. We'll have like a 30-minute playthrough of maybe the first 30 minutes of the game or something. I you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like that would be the better way to break it down. What about you? What do you feel would be like the perfect time?
Well, I think 30 minutes is probably right. But, I mean, if you look at the past, because, again, if you're going to headline it with the Bethesda game, even though it is Xbox, in the past, you know, when they do the showcases for, like, Fallout, those are hour-long presentations, give or take. And if your new game that is a new IP that has nothing backing it up, I don't know if they might be worried that they do need to spend that amount of time. But with everything that Xbox now has, I wouldn't want anything else to get outshined. So I would say 15 to 30 would be about right for me, because I don't need to see a ton. Just show me the gameplay. Show me maybe a little bit of the customer creation. Show me a little bit of how, we know how Elder Scrolls plays. We know how Fallout plays. Show me how Starfield's going to play, and show me what the difference is going to be when you're taking those two genres and kind of putting them in space. So I think you can really do that in 15 and 30 minutes, because with everything else that they have under their umbrella, this is a good time to show off everything else. So I'd hope that it wouldn't be any longer than 45, I think would be probably the max time. I would even want to see that without getting kind of bored or feeling like, okay, it's repetitive. I'm seeing the same behind the scene interview with this guy and going, it took us so long to make Starfield.
Yeah,
I don't need to
there's
see
none
any
of
of that.
that,
That needs to be the stuff behind the scenes. So, anything else you want to add on Starfield before we move forward?
I think the most important thing that they need to prove, besides like, is this game good? Here's what we've been working on, that sort of thing, is how is this different from Outer Worlds? Because Outer Worlds came out first, and it's almost kind of along that same category. I don't want to say the same game, but, it's along that same path. So I think that's more the bigger thing, too, is how is this going to be different?
Yeah, so I agree with you on there. But let's dive into what we kind of think, what else could fill up that 90 minutes, assuming that it is 90 minutes. But so I kind of wanted to ask, what needs to be there? What definitely needs to be shown off during this Xbox Bethesda showcase? What would we like to see at the Xbox Bethesda showcase? And then what's kind of like a personal favorite that if it's not there, it's not going to get us upset, but it would be really cool if we did get to see it. So let me start off by saying I think that must be there. There needs to be more with Fable. Fable's been something that was as far back as rumors as 2018 that we started hearing about it. It was being developed by Playground Games. And then the showcase that they did in 2020, Fable was shown that it was actually in development. And since then, we've only gotten this little bitty teaser cinematic trailer that shows us nothing about the game. It just says, your story is going to be written. And it's unfortunate because if you had an Xbox back, in the OG Xbox day one, Fable was a really special game. And back in 2004 when it came out, that it was fun to play. It was very unique. It had the aging system that was coming on. It was a very cool Western RPG that was exclusive to Xbox. And since then, Fable 2 and Fable 3 came out as late as 2010. But I hate that this is kind of where we've been left with it, because there was the unfinished Fable Legends co-op game that was coming out from Lionhead Studios. Other than that, there was Fable Heroes and then Fable The Journey, which was on the Kinect. I don't know if you ever remember playing that.
I don't remember that.
And then there was Fable Fortune, which I think is just the card game. So there was 4 different versions of Fable that they've tried to put out there, but we don't need that. I want a core game, and I think that if you're going to keep anybody's interest in the Fable franchise, this needs to be the time where you show us at least something. Show me, even if it's still cinematic, show me a character, show me a storyline, show me a setting, because I've been dying to see what it's going to look like in Playground after how awesome Forza Horizon was. So in my mind, Fable 4, if that's what you want to call it, Fable Reboot, that's what it's going to be. That needs to be shown, or else you're quickly losing me on something that I've been following for quite a bit now.
Right, I completely agree, especially too, I'm not the biggest Fable fan, but I mean, that name means less and less every year, so.
Every year, yep. Especially since Lionhead folded. I mean, I like that Playground picked it up, so I'm high hopes, but it's like, high hopes on what? You're not showing me anything.
Yeah, especially because didn't Playground didn't only do like racing games or something like that before?
Yeah,
I
because
believe?
they use their in-house engine. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with an open world, RPG. So I'm excited, but give me something to be excited about.
I think my one that needs to be there, needs to be shown off this year, is actually going to be Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark, again, they haven't done anything. Nothing's really been done with Perfect Dark since Perfect Dark, I believe, 0. Nobody really cared for that game. I heard it wasn't that great. I remember playing it a little bit and it not being that good.
Who does that? The Initiative, right?
Yeah, the new one. But the OG Perfect Dark that everybody remembers on N64 still holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts. A lot of people even compare that, because GoldenEye's like that other, greatest of all time 64 game. A lot of people would put Perfect Dark over GoldenEye. I know I do. I thought it had an amazing story. It had, I think, dynamics that were ahead of its time, where even during multiplayer, not just fighting each other, weapons having different firing functions, but even during the campaign, you could also do co-op, or the other person could be an enemy, like trying to stop you on your journey from, completing the mission. We haven't seen anything of this game since I believe it was last year. They showed it was either last year or the year before that. They showed a small snippet of it, like it just scaled to the top of a building, and I think you see like Joanna Dark, and that's it. And it says Perfect Dark. But the bigger reason I think we need to see it too, again, there goes one of those motorcycles.
Yeah, you hear that thing ripping?
Yeah, again, I think the bigger reason that we need to see something from this is because since we hadn't heard anything about it, there was that thing that came out that said Crystal Dynamics is being borrowed from Square Enix to help work on this game. And some people found that normal, but there was a lot of people who took this as a negative, saying that Microsoft and that studio, which is a brand new studio from the ground up, couldn't even manage to make their own game, and that it didn't look good for them. So this game needs to not come out, but it needs to be shown, and it definitely needs to look good. And whether or not that could be, it's only because Crystal Dynamics, you're gonna have to do, I think, some sort of interview as a breakdown is, this is what they brought to the table, this is what we brought to the table, and this is how that breaks down. Because even if this game comes out and looks amazing, you still have to, who did what? You know what I mean?
No, I 100% agree, because once you have multiple teams and one has a proven pedigree, or at least a capable pedigree, and the other one's brand new, and then we find out that it's 75-25% the other way, it's like, okay, well then why do we give a shit about a ground up studio initiative?
Yeah.
So I agree with you 100%. They need something needs to be shown that this game is moving in a successful direction, and not something that's, when we see it, go, this looks like it needs another 2 years. So
right.
The game that I would really like to see on there, and I think has a chance of being shown off, is the new Indiana Jones game. It's being developed by Machine Games. It's been in early development since January 2021. Now, this game is showing that it's not supposed to be out, I think, till 23 or 2024, but the small snippet trailer that we got, the teaser, was pretty cool. The biggest reason I hope they show us something is because Machine Games is known for doing Wolfenstein, which is, completely over-the-top story with FPS mechanics first and foremost, where Indiana Jones is not a shooter. Indiana Jones is notorious, whip, and, I think through the whole series uses the gun twice, so...
He is now. He's going to rival the Doomslayer.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see, because it's always nice to see someone kind of break the mold, Are they a studio that can only do A, or if you give them, time, can they do something like B? And it's the same as like Guerrilla. You look at them doing Killzone, and then they make Horizon, which arguably is the successful and the better game, so... I'm curious if Machine Games has it in them to build something that's kind of reminiscent of a Tomb Raider or an Uncharted that's not, focused on blasting down Nazis. So, and I'm really excited about it. Indiana Jones is a fan favorite, even though it's been a little mistreated over the years. I thought it was really cool when we saw that trailer that it was going to be, I believe, an Xbox exclusive with them. And I'd be really curious to see what Machine Games can do outside of their wheelhouse. So I'm really hoping to see something that's maybe a little test footage of some gameplay, because I think that'd be really cool to see.
Mine that I would really like to see, that's not a Hail Mary, but kind of maybe might be, is I would either like to see a new Conqueror or Banjo, because those are fan favorites, and those are something people ask for every single year. Banjo hasn't been done anything since 2 or since he got put into Smash Brothers, and I think that would be the perfect kind of game to make that would appeal to children And for modern fans like me, I would love to go and play like a modern Banjo-Kazooie. Especially, I mean, you see the success with games like, Mario Odyssey, how big that was. Why not take Banjo and give him this modern game in this modern world? Or you could go the adult route if you want to make an a more adult style game with Conker, who again we haven't seen anything since he of course was in Project Spark, which I remember us watching that, and as soon as Conker came out I was so fucking hyped. I was like, this is it, this is the announcement. I remember sitting right here on your couch watching it, and I'll never forget how good they got me. And then he's like, oh, now Project Spark, whatever. I was like, you got me good, man. Like, I was super excited for it. That I think if they were to name drop something like that, you don't even have to show off gameplay. You could literally name drop either of these two games, have something pop up, and then just be like, Banjo, blah, 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 coming 20... You don't even have a year on it. Just put the name out there, and people are going to clamor for that. Would make headlines, I think.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Rare hasn't done anything. You know what I mean? Like, give us some... You're sitting on some Rare...
These three games that I just mentioned are all old Rare properties.
Right, so I don't know what they were able to keep once they were bought by Xbox, but it's like, I think all we've gotten, at least as far as like an old fan would remember Rare, is the Battletoads game. So it's like, either do something brand new and blow our minds, or at least revisit some of this old dormant IP and give us something.
Well, they did do that that Rareware collection that, as far as I remember, I think it did well. I remember a lot of people liking it because there was a lot of variety, and again, it had those games on there.
Yeah, but that's years old now, because I remember running through that a minute ago. But yeah, I'd be very impressed to see something like that. But
let's hear your Hail Mary.
So mine is that I would like to see something with the Coalition and something on the lines of Gears of War 6, because I know they're doing a big transition. It's one of their biggest games that are moving over to the Unreal Engine 5. So let me read quickly. This is from laptopmag.com of kind of some speculation of Gears 6, and it says, on May 10th, 2021, the Coalition wrote in a blog post that it would be switching over to Unreal Engine 5, and shifting to a new engine is a big undertaking. So we want to be clear that we will not be announcing any new projects or titles for some time. That likely means we won't see Gears 6 until 2023 to 2025, depending on how long it takes to build things from the ground up in an Unreal Engine 5. And considering how long that'll take, it'll likely only be available for Xbox Series X, S, and PC, leaving out last-gen consoles. In a supposed leak via cache files via NVIDIA GeForce Now, Gears of War 6 was found as a listing of over 18,000. Other unreleased titles in this list were Final Fantasy IX Remake, Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered, and Half-Life 2 Remastered. It's probably best to take these with a bit of skepticism. So yeah, if you guys remember that big NVIDIA leak, Gears 6 was on there, and it was actually slated to come out 2022, but I just find that hard to believe, because if we're getting so close to the end of the year that we haven't seen anything for Gears 6, I'd imagine we'd at least have seen something on the scale of how we've seen a little bit of Starfield. But generally, Gears goes in a 3-year cycle. The last 4 and 5 were 3 years apart from each other, so I believe 2022 falls on that date. But if they're switching everything over to Unreal, and they've said in the past that they're not going to do any kind of big announcements, then yeah, this thing is maybe locked behind 2 or 3 more years. So that's kind of my Hail Mary. It'd be cool to see something like a beginning kind of teaser trailer in Unreal to be like, oh shit, Gears is going to be dope, and then it puts a stamp on it saying 2024 or something like that. But I'm not going to hold my breath, but it's something I'd really like to see, and I think a lot of other fans would like to see that too. Xbox has so much. I don't want the Coalition, which is one of the the keystone pillars of Xbox's original exclusives, to be left behind. I think they deserve their shine, their attention, and the light. And Gears, in my mind, has been progressively better every time I play a Gears game. So that would be my special one that I'd like to see, but I doubt is probably going to be there.
Can you look up what year this came out for me?
Yeah.
So my game that is going to be the Hail Mary is actually going to be something different. This comes more from the Bethesda side of things, and that's going to be the Evil Within 3. Now, I know the first one came out, and that one was a little bit slower, but people kind of liked it. 17?
Yeah.
We actually played the Evil Within 2 before it came out. It did come out in 2017. We played that at the GameStop Expo. Yeah, I really loved it. I know you enjoyed it when we had our time. The game came out, and I thought it improved from the first one on every function. I felt like it was more like a faster Resident Evil 4. Like, it still kept the horror, but the movement and everything was just so much better and more fluid. I absolutely loved the Evil Within, and especially what they did with the transition to number 2. Now, I think I don't know if they would have had time, because Tango Gameworks is who worked on Ghostwire Tokyo. Again, this is the studio that's ran by Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil. But since that game is out now, hopefully maybe that could be their next thing, because I think that there's not really too many big horror games out there that's a genre that I don't want to see fall to the wayside with just, okay, well, whenever Resident Evil comes out, that's the big horror game, and then every now and then we'll get
the medium 2.
We'll get the medium 2 or something smaller like Outlast that's just like, not that I care for that sort of game. That's that first person, you're not really combat, but it's jump scare central. That's not really for me. So I love horror games that I think now would be the time to at least show that you're working on something like that. Hey, now that we finish this, and whether or not they keep it exclusive, I don't think that they have to. I think that's a game that everyone would deserve to play, provided you're a fan of that franchise. I would love for you to play too, because I think it is on the Game Pass.
It is.
I know one's a lot slower, and I remember talking about it with Denny, because Denny's like, I played 1, but it's just so slow and so stealth focused that 2 kind of really opens that door for you can play it stealth, but if you fuck up, then it's not just like, okay, well, I'm dead. No, you've got tons of options for how you can play it, and I think you'd really like it, especially because the map kind of opens up too, to where there's more than one way to where you could take, to get to your objective.
Excellent. So those are the 3 kind of picks we're hoping to see. I know a lot of other people, when they're covering this topic, at least this early in the week, are going to be kind of doing the same. So I just want to make sure I point out some of the other stuff that we're pretty sure is going to be on there. Arcane and Redfall, I'm sure is going to make an appearance on there. I don't know if Double Fine will do anything, just because they just recently had Psychonauts 2 come out, but I'm sure Ninja Theory with Hellblade 2 is going to show some footage, even though I think they've shown all they need to show. That last big 5-minute trailer they did, in-game gameplay was pretty dope.
If they show it again, it's got to have a release date.
Right, and Obsidian Entertainment, especially doing Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed, I'm sure are going to be probably the 3 big other things, and then Turn 10 doing Forza Motorsport, the kind of the counterpart to Forza Horizon. I'm sure those are going to be probably the other big games that we see in this conference, and I'm really looking forward to all of them.
I know for sure they're probably going to show Halo, and people might be like, why? One, just to promote their online multiplayer, but the big rumor is, especially now too, that they've kind of dropped with the Season 2, that Lone Wolf is kind of coming, and that one almost looks like a Battle Royale, that would be the time where they announce, hey guys, this is our free-to-play Battle Royale that's a part of Halo Infinite, check it out, and then show that off. I think that, especially with the rumors flowing, is going to be where they announce something like that.
Definitely. So guys, let us know what you're most interested in seeing. Let us know if this even is interesting to you, because a lot of people are kind of done with the live, stream only events. So maybe this isn't for you, and you'll just catch it in a tweet the next day of everything that was announced and just watch the trailers. But I know me and you are going to be watching it.
Maybe we'll do a live stream reaction.
Oh, hey, it's about time, So with that done out of the way, guys, let's move into our second main story, and that is that Call of Duty has announced the name of its next game for 2022. This one is being developed by Infinity Ward, and it is Modern Warfare 2. It also just dropped its new logo. So let me quickly just kind of catch you guys up with IGN, and then we'll kind of break it down with our opinions on it. So this link will be in the description, guys, if you want to read more on it. But IGN had this to say. After teasing an announcement late last week, Infinity Ward has revealed the first official logo for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 is a sequel to 2019's Modern Warfare reboot, rather than a remake of 2009's original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Besides the logo, no new details about the game were revealed. A sequel to 2019's Modern Warfare was officially announced back in February alongside Warzone 2. Infinity Ward is taking the lead on Modern Warfare 2, but 11 different studios are reportedly working on the game in some capacity. Other reports say the campaign will feature U.S. Special Forces fighting Colombian drug cartels. Modern Warfare 2 will seemingly mark the end of Call of Duty's streak of annual releases. Bloomberg reported that Call of Duty's planned 2023 release has been pushed back to 2024. This lines up with other rumblings saying Call of Duty devs are eager to move away from the annual release schedule. So, Andrew, let me ask you, how did you like the logo? Simple and clean, I thought. And then, how do you like it being a sequel to the reboot and not a reboot of the original MW2 title?
I like the logo. I think the logo's perfect. They always usually have really cool logos whenever they come out with anything. And again, I like that it's confusing. The name is confusing. And normally I would hate on it and I would give it shit, but I am biased because Modern Warfare 2019 I thought was such a good Call of Duty. It was finally a fresh breath of air. It's the last Call of Duty that I've actually enjoyed because I didn't really care for Cold War or Vanguard that much, that it could do no wrong in my eyes. So I like that they're going to reboot the story. I just don't know where they would take it, especially because Modern Warfare 2, I feel, is like where Call of Duty, Call of Duty 4 really launched, but Modern Warfare 1, but Call of Duty 2, I feel, was like that peak Call of Duty when it was overly hyped, extra good. That story was actually really...
2005, 2006.
It was really great, and I don't know how you could top it, especially, too, because at the time, you have that iconic trailer that everyone remembers, and like Eminem, till I collapse, I'm killing them, whatever. And then you have like soap falling down the side of like the mountain trying to catch everything. It's just iconic. As soon as I went to look it up, that's all everyone was talking about. I'm like, they better bring back Till I Collapse because you already taken the name. I don't care. Bring that song back for this trailer.
Yeah, it is kind of. I mean, it's definitely confusing to say the least. It's one thing when hardware does it and names it in a way that's kind of odd to follow. It's a little unexcusable when games do it, because there's already a game like that. So if you were to go to the counter and say, can I get Modern Warfare 2? Which one? You know what I mean? So yeah. I dislike the fact that they...
Well, I doubt anyone's going to say which one to pull up.
I know. I get that time has passed, and now it stands to correct itself that this is the new edition. But it's like, they should have... If they're going to reboot it, and... I mean, the first one was fine. I get that they're going to name the first one that. The second one should have had a slight change, just so we know. But I do like the fact that it's a sequel to the reboot, and not a remake of the one and then a reboot of the other one. So like, I do like that they're at least continuing the continuity of their new rebooted franchise with Call of Duty, because this is the soap one, right? And Captain Price and all that shit.
Yeah, so this is where it would even get more confusing, is you already have Modern Warfare 2, the original. Now you have Modern Warfare 2, which is the newer one. But you also have that Modern Warfare 2 remastered campaign that came out, I think it was like early this year, last year, that's a remaster of the old one. So it's like now you've got like 3 or 4 different versions floating around out there. But I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and anyone that knows Call of Duty, this isn't a franchise where like, I'm just jumping in. I'm just touching my toes in the water. It's like, no, if you know Call of Duty, you know Call of Duty. So I don't think they're worried about the name confusion. Every gamer that plays Call of Duty is going to know exactly which one that they want. But I was going to point out, because as we know, Microsoft is in the process of acquiring Activision and Blizzard. So potentially a lot of people were under the assumption that this moving forward will be an exclusive. Now I doubt we're going to see anything in the conference, because I don't think legally they can, because the deal's not done. So I don't think they'd be able to show anything going on Xbox. Here comes Call of Duty. But at the end of the article, I did kind of want to just touch on this and get your thoughts on it. It says, despite Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Modern Warfare 2 isn't set to be an Xbox exclusive. According to a report from earlier this year, Activision Blizzard has already committed to releasing 3 more Call of Duty games across multiple platforms, including PlayStation. After that, however, the series could live exclusively on Xbox. Now, if they're going to take the break from 22 and they're going to take 2023 off, I love that. I love that and I think they should.
Finally.
It's not a sports game. It shouldn't have been annualized. I get that it makes money every year, but you need to support the game you're out and have people and give people time to do it. Now, if they're saying, and I don't know how accurate that report is, 3 more Call of Duty games, let's assume once 2024 hits, they are annualized. So they go 24, 25, 26. And we're talking as far as 2027 finally being, the year where Xbox could put them behind glass and a paywall. Does that sound about right to you? I mean, or do you think they'll continue to live multi-platform? Because why wouldn't they?
I think they'll continue to live multi-platform, because that's just a license to print money. You can do anything else. You could have these studios make a sub-branch of like Call of Duty and have the same style gameplay or something, and just give it a name. Call it Ghost 1, Ghost 2, whatever, and make it almost like how Call of Duty is. And you can make that an exclusive, and if people want to buy that, they can buy that. But more the bigger thing, too, for why I even think they're, one, going to stay multi-plat and keep it going, not annualized, but the only reason they could even take a break right now is just because Warzone is still a behemoth. That game came late to the Battle Royale scene, and it's taken over. That's like the #1 Battle Royale game as far as I can see. That game...
Still free?
Still free. Just by itself is... Call of Duty's already licensed to print money, and then you have this thing that just shits money. And they're going to have that one, and there's already been talks of Warzone 2 that's just going to be, I don't know if it's going to be next-gen exclusive, that's what they've been saying, but it would be about time for them to do it because they've already integrated like 3 or 4 games into Warzone that you have so much messing together. That's kind of what's almost been breaking the game, that now that they've learned so much, all right, let's start from the ground up with something new. We've got our fundamentals of what we know it works and how to integrate everything going forward.
So keep one on the old console, so that way people on PS4 and Xbox One can still play, and then make one that's next gen, Series X and PS5.
Right, and you could still with the talent they have, break up the team, keep the team together, and you could still support both. Why not?
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, I like the logo. I think the logo is nice, clean. You didn't really need nothing more. The fact that it's going to be coming, the last one annualized by the end of the year, should be really cool. And I think Infinity Ward definitely has probably the cooler versions of most of the Call of Duties. I think a lot of people agree Modern Warfare is the better one. I think it's a little odd that 11 studios have had to wrap their hands around this, but that might mainly be because we're out of the 3-year cycle, we're out of the 3 dev circulation, so maybe it did need a little bit of the help. But overall, I mean, give me, as long as Call of Duty can get 2 years of runtime, I think they're going to see how you may lose money, but I think they're going to see how much the fans like building the community instead of going, okay, I'm done with this in September because come November I'm buying the new one. So I really like that they're doing that, and we'll see what happens, and we'll definitely report on the Activision Blizzard sell to Xbox because it's not officially through yet, although at this point it looks like it will be a sure thing. But I can only imagine that once
saw shareholders approved it.
Yeah, it was like a 98% approval rate. So I can imagine this time next year when Xbox does its game conference, Call of Duty would probably be a headliner.
I think so, and I do actually kind of want to throw another note in here too, is that this is kind of about that time, because usually, again, like an annualized thing, they usually show off their game, at least the first trailer before you see all the multiplayer and stuff, at the end of April, sometimes the start of May. Lately, I think the past couple ones have been around the end of May when they do like the first reveal and you see like how that game's going to play, what it's going to look like, here's a story trailer, whatever. So get ready to see some of that soon, again, as always.
Nice. So let's move into riffing it up, guys, where we take kind of some smaller news that we like to bring to your guys' attention. So, Andrew, I know you're hype about this one.
I'm gonna go first, and that's and I usually just say RGG Studios because it's easier for me. But Ryuga Gotoku Studio, for any of you who don't know who that is the studio that makes Judgment and Yakuza, which I've recently over the past few years fallen in love with, and now is in my top 5 games of all time. Is actually having a event today that is, they said, who knows what's going to be in it. They didn't promise anything, but it's going to talk about the past, present, and future of the Yakuza franchise, Judgment franchise, and other series that they're working on. Now that's here at 6:30, so it's about 30 minutes from now, so we have no information on anything they've shown for it yet. I think the thing that's most exciting to see is hopefully we'll see a little bit of Yakuza 8, which, as I mentioned before, Yakuza going forward is going to be a turn-based RPG, almost like Final Fantasy is. 7 was, and I absolutely love that game. But the bigger thing is what they're going to do moving forward with what was supposed to take Yakuza's place as that brawler game. Judgment. Judgment came out. As we know, Lost Judgment came out after that. But the controversy with that is that since Sega was wanting to put the games on PC like you normally would, this the main actor Takiura he's with a company that manages him and everything to do with his likeness in Japan, but they are super against the internet. That I don't even think Lost Judgment
still having that same problem?
Came out on PC, and I think it's they mostly said it's because they can't control what you do with his likeness on PC. So you can mod it, you could have him being naked, smoking, doing whatever it is that maybe they don't want his image associated with, because it is a 1-to-1 image of this guy in this game. It's based off of his likeness. It's exactly him. So you have no control over what people could do with that. So it's kind of weird that they take that kind of a stance, because people could tell the difference between a game. Obviously that guy's not out here harming animals or something like that. So it's crazy to think that that is a problem, that Lost Judgment might have been the last one that we see out of that, and because they don't want to deal with that actor in that company anymore, even though these stories were great, we're going to have to start something new. We're going to have to name it something new and go in a different direction now to take the brawl over. And I think that's more the interesting thing, and that's really what I want to see out of here is, are they going to continue it and find a way to work with that company, and maybe they're going to bring it to PC, or if that game doesn't want to bring it to PC, if I was Sega, I'd be like, all right, sorry, man, hey, they cost you this job, and that's on that, because we want to make as much money as we can. Why not bring it to PC? So we're going to build this new game, this new studio. We'll find another front guy whose company will let him do whatever.
Yeah.
Which, that's the craziest part of the conversation. So.
Yeah, I'm sure people are lining up to take that role. I mean, who wouldn't be?
Hire me.
Excellent. I know that's coming out a little bit later today, so we'll have more information on that. My riff, guys, is just kind of a follow-up from what we were talking about last week, and that is that Sonic 2 is the highest-grossing video game movie ever in the U.S. Let's keep that U.S. Let's keep it domestic. So I just wanted to. IGN had this article to read. I just want to read the first little part of it.
I'm glad to see it's doing so well.
Yeah, me too. Super excited for it. So, as pointed out by star Ben Schwartz, the sequel has now outperformed the first Sonic film. The previous record holder, Sonic 2, has hit 147 million and counting compared to the original's 146. Sonic 2 didn't conquer the global market, but still did pretty well, making 287.8 million. Now, I actually looked at that earlier. It's closer to 291, according to Deadline. While still an impressive amount, the film falls short of 2016's World of Warcraft, which made 439 million. So I don't think anyone was looking at Sonic being the number one overall video game. But from what we were talking about last week, it was quite a jump. It went from being the number 20-something spot, and it's up to like the 9th or 11th. And the fact that it's holding on to the highest-grossing video game movie ever in the U.S., I mean, again, Paramount has to be over the moon that they were able to make this dormant IP with Sonic, bring it back to life, pump life back into this, and then have a very successful movie franchise. So, again, our whole review, if you guys want to check it out, is on our channel. It's definitely a family movie that you need to take 3, 4, 5 people with you to get the most laughs. But I don't know. I'm really excited to see that Sonic 2 has legs and it's doing really well.
I think that's what's most interesting about this is both those movies charted and did crazy numbers. And a lot of people, not that we give scores to anything or, your enjoyment may vary, rated it like a 6 or a 7. So imagine what like a buckled down 10 out of 10 video game movie would do.
I'm waiting for those days. So those are our risks, guys. Jump down below how you feel about them and your thoughts about them. So with time running a bit long, let's move into questions of the week. And this one comes from Divine Anchor, and they write, "Hey guys, been a while. Hope you're doing great. Do you guys have a favorite anime manga villain? A great villain always makes a great story. P.S. Happy almost 7K. Yeah, we're getting close to 7K subs, and I like it because it's kind of like a follow-up from one of our questions we had last week,
right?
With Talha Malik talking about
good friend
anime.
of the show.
So you're more into anime and manga than I am, so I'll just say my small version in terms of villains. I mean, my biggest thing that I watch is Dragon Ball Z, so which is full of villains. So my favorite person in Dragon Ball Z who is a villain, but I believe is later redeemed in manga, is Raditz. Raditz is one of my favorite guys. A lot of people kind of sleep on Raditz because he's the weakest of the Saiyan, alien conquerors, Vegeta and Nappa.
I love the Raditz saga.
When DBZ starts, not only does Raditz pull Piccolo out of retirement in terms of, and then puts him teaming up with Goku. He's the catalyst of why these two essentially become maybe not friends, but bonded in a common goal. And he's the reason why we get to see Gohan have his untapped power. And there was just always something about Raditz that I absolutely loved. I love the look. I love the hair. I love the keep your eye on the birdie technique. So for a watered down answer, I would say that. And as an Attack on Titan fan, I love the Titans. But I'm sure you have somebody that's outside of maybe Dragon Ball or something crazier.
I think personally, since you mentioned it, he has the best
and those thighs are huge.
Yeah, he has the best dying quote because he's just sitting there bleeding out, and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong?" I think it's Piccolo. And he's like, "Don't be sad. We can't all have the last laugh." And then fucking Piccolo kills him. I'm like, "Damn, what a fucking that!" I love that line.
I love it.
I think I even use it. I don't. It might be on like my Twitter and my Instagram handle, but my favorite villain, more recently has been Nagato or Pain from Naruto. I absolutely love his design, what he does with the 6 paths of pain. I don't care what you say. The Japanese voice actor is good, but that American one is goated. I love him to death. I just thought that Pain arc through Naruto, especially being the Akatsuki, is one of my all-time favorite arcs. I think it's so good. He kind of dies a hero, so if you want a straight villain, someone who turns hero and goes villain that I would love, I'd say Light Yagami too, because throughout all of Death Note, that's all cat and mouse, and that's what I love too, is it's just someone trying to outsmart the other, not somebody who starts off good and maybe had noble intentions that are still wrong.
Corrupted by power.
He lives being a villain and dies a villain too. And so I love Death Note, but I love Light Yagami. I think he's absolutely great.
Nice. So love the question. Leave your answer down below. And if you guys are this far into the episode, leave your answer to the question down below. And feel free to submit a question in the comments down below so that we can answer them next week. Kelly Heston, I saw that you do have a question, so we will answer that next week. So guys, that is the end of episode 130. So until episode 131, my name is Craig Perales. That is Manager Montemare. And until next time, cheers.
See ya. Mortal Kombat was like the highest like HBO Max.
Yeah, Geno had it posted in Last Call too, and Batman's number 2. What was weird is that Matrix Revolutions like beat out Dune. That one, that kind of like, I still haven't seen Dune though, but it's like a 3-hour movie. I haven't
watched it yet either. Oh yeah, but the thing I sent you, and it was like the week after Batman came out, and I don't remember if it was on Messenger or on Instagram. Actually, I might have even texted it to you because it might have been. I think I texted it to you because I think it was one of those YouTube shorts, and it was talking about the comic storyline where Bruce Wayne's family was like trying to develop. They were, because they had medical field stuff that they were experimenting on, and so in this comic storyline, they're actually the ones who invent Venom.
Oh,
and Bruce Wayne gets addicted to it and becomes too aggressive, and then he has to quit. And I sent that to you, I think, the week after the movie came out. So I was like, oh, okay, if they took this storyline, because his father's always been notoriously like a doctor or whatever, I could see that. And now I see why people are saying, like, oh, that could be, that's straight from a comic, to where it could have been Venom. And when he realizes the potential and is trying to shut it down, realizing what it does, that's how it gets into the hand of the bad guys. And then they, Bane starts fucking.
Yeah, I did read that. For some reason, I thought Tim sent that to me, but
no, I sent that to you because we'd been talking about it the week before.
Yeah, because that's kind of cool because I didn't know it was actually from. I mean, there's 1,000 Batman storylines I've never read, right. So who's to say that there wasn't one where they made Venom? But as far as like the mainstream one, that was always kind of like my thing of like, why would he be stuck on Venom? But yeah, if they're pulling it from that storyline, or at least parts of it, that's actually really kind of cool because that's a story that I'm completely unfamiliar with.
Yeah.